Hello, my name is Tim, my company is Sports and Touring, and we are Jaguar F-Type specialists. It is a particular delight to show you this car. Why? Well, first, it's in a fabulous colour palette. Chorus grey, also known as ammonite grey, one of the very best looking colours on an F-Type. Sitting on 20-inch rotor pattern wheels, freshly factory refurbished in shadow chrome and with those beautiful carbon blade inserts, and with the chrome pack, panoramic roof and a range of fabulous options. It's a two-owner car, not that we really set a lot of store by that because we always look at the quality, the condition of the vehicle rather than focusing solely on the number of keepers, but nonetheless it is a two-owner car. And it comes with full Jaguar main dealer service history, and it's on very low mileage too. Let's take a look around. Just look with me for a moment at those headlamps and imagine they are the eyes of a Jaguar cat. It's not so hard to do, is it? That's one of the beautiful detail touches in the design of the Jaguar F-Type. A car which, when Jaguar started the difficult process of designing a new model, they knew would be the final punctuation mark at the end of a glorious history of internal combustion powered sports cars. Part of their racing heritage, a heritage which began long ago and has encapsulated many designs and much technology. And out of all that comes the F-Type, comes this beautiful, this glorious machine. And then having spoken, and it's easy to speak in glowing words about the F-Type, let's look at this particular one. So, it's the V6S, the little badge on the rear there, telling us that this has the 380 horsepower supercharged V6 engine, a powerful engine driving the rear wheels of the car through an electronic limited slip differential, which improves the handling. And when I say improves the handling of these cars is just so exquisite. The result of a very brilliant design to start with and an enormous amount of refinement. Much computer processing power put into refining the electronic models of the car, and then an equal amount of time spent on the track, making sure that it drives as spectacularly as it needs to. And this particular example, well, it is just so very fine. Hardly any signs at all that this is not a very much newer car. It's clearly been well looked after. It hasn't been through one of those awful car washes. It, I suspect, has been garaged for much of its life. It has been a weekend pleasure, not a daily driver. The mileage history tells us that. Everything on it is working superbly, and the condition is just brilliant. Let's take a look inside. The car's supplied, of course, with 2 remote key fobs and the owner's handbook pack, and unlocking pops out the door handle so that we can open the door and take a look inside. Starting with the door card, which is, I dare say, pretty much as it left the factory, and then looking in at these beautiful jet leather seats and a cockpit which is in just the most sublime condition. Even the tread plate, where we'd usually expect to see the odd scuff, is almost totally unmarked. And the seat bolster, where frequently you'll find a bit of wear in this area here and this area here, is absolutely spot on. Sitting down into the F-Type, into this beautiful cockpit, is always a great pleasure. You're in an environment now of technology and art. The beautiful sweeping curves, for example, on the top of the instrument binnacle and on the hand grip here between driver and passenger are just beautiful. And yet the ergonomics are brilliant too. The way the switches are laid out, the way the car drives, it is a car with which you can become at one very easily indeed. Let's take a look around the cockpit. So between the headrests there, as it were, there's a handy stowage, another stowage here in the armrest where we've got the SD card for the navigation system, a 12-volt socket, an auxiliary socket, and a USB socket too. Here the cup holder for refreshments on the move, And then in order to explore this centre console, let's start up the supercharged V6. And as we do that, we'll see the instrument binnacle do its little flying display. The engine comes to life at a slightly higher than usual RPM in order to protect the catalytic converters. And the centre air vent moves up into position as well. So here on the centre console, we've got switches for eco stop start, for the deployable spoiler that goes up and down at particular speeds, but you can put it up manually for whatever reason you like. Important to do that when you're going to wash the car, of course, so that you can get underneath the spoiler and keep that clean. Electronic parking brake with hill start assist, of course. That's the traction control off, and the electrically switched active sports exhaust button, which opens those valves in the exhaust and improves the exhaust note. It gives it a throatier sound. Those valves also open when you engage dynamic mode. So the driving modes on an F-Type are 3 modes. First we have normal mode, standard mode, which we're in at the moment, and we can see that the dashboard there is lit up white. If we select dynamic mode, the instruments turn red and it says dynamic mode confirmed. This sets the car up now for a sportier, more aggressive style of driving. The throttle response, the suspension setup and so forth all are adjusted in order to do that. And the other mode at the opposite end of the scale, we can go through into rain, ice and snow mode, which is a very useful mode if you're on slippery surfaces. It really does help to calm the car down. And given that this is a rear-wheel drive, powerful car with wide tyres, it makes it very drivable indeed in those challenging conditions. Back over here, and we've got this beautiful shift stick. It falls to the hand so easily with the little trigger on the front, which enables you to select a new setting. To go from park to drive, simply pull the trigger and move the stick back. Then we can go from drive to sport by flicking across to the left. That means the engine effectively will hold the revs higher for a more dynamic driving experience and better performance. In sport mode, you can shift up and down on the stick itself, or of course you've got the flappy paddles on the steering wheel, in this case finished in this beautiful Ignis bronze colour, as is the start-stop button. That is an option fitted to this car. Amongst the other options, dual zone climate control, heated seats. They're 3-stage electrically heated seats. We've got the electrically heated front windscreen, and that is such a boon in the British winter. The windscreen clears very, very quickly if it's a little frosty or misty. The infotainment system, very fully featured on the F-Type. Here's the home screen, and we can go to the right hand of the 2 home screens where we find dynamic eye. And if I go back into dynamic mode, we can see here that we've got a factory setup and we've got a driver's setup. We've also, should you find yourself on a racetrack or doing, some kind of sporting event, we've got a stopwatch, we've got a G meter, and we've got accelerator and brake pedal tracking, including a graph that shows for the last 2 minutes what the pedal positions have been. Great fun, and actually very useful if you are improving your driving with an instructor on the track perhaps. There's the climate control screen where we can adjust the climate settings. We can switch on the parking sensors like that. If we're going to drive forwards into a parking space, we can enable the front sensors, which otherwise only come on when you select reverse. And then over here we're into the audio modes. We've got DAB, FM, AM radio, aux, and also Bluetooth. There isn't a Bluetooth phone connected at the moment, but if there was, we'd be able to stream music from Spotify or what have you on your phone into the car. Another way of accessing that screen here, which takes us into the DAB receiver. And of course, again, no phone connected, but fully functioning, fully featured Bluetooth telephony on this F-Type. And then we've got the satellite navigation, which is a very clear presentation. It's a very easy system to use, very user-friendly, not difficult to put your destination in and so forth, as it can be on some vehicles. On the steering wheel, on the left-hand side, we've got the infotainment controls, Bluetooth telephony button there as well, so you don't need to take your hand off the wheel in order to make or receive a call. And over here on the right, we've got the cruise control and speed limiter. All brilliantly set up, very easy to use. By the way, automatic headlamps there on the left and rain-sensitive wipers on the right-hand stalk. It's a beautiful cockpit to sit in, very comfortable seats, very easy car to live with on one hand, and on the other hand, if you want to extract performance from it and push it hard and enjoy a very dynamic driving experience, the F-Type delivers that by the lorry load. And finally, by the way, I should have mentioned while we're sitting in here, this beautiful big panoramic roof, which lets the sunlight flood in when you wish, and if it's getting a little too hot, just slide the screen across and keep the heat out. We'll switch the engine off and take a look in the boot. Another of the extra cost options on this car is the powered tailgate. So pressing the button on the fob and the tailgate moves up out of the way to reveal over 300 litres of boot space. Plenty of room, goes right out behind the rear wheel arches on each side. You can get golf clubs in here, you can get fishing tackle in, an artist's easel, for example. There are people who carry their dogs in an F-Type with, of course, the parcel shelf removed. And under the boot floor here, there is a further cubby hole, which you can see, and this particular car is fitted with a charging port for a C-Tech battery charger, so you can charge it easily in your garage between use. That again shows that this has been a low mileage car which has been carefully looked after. Again, it's all in beautiful condition, very clean and tidy, no signs of anything amiss in the boot space. Closing the boot, very easy, just a matter of pressing the button there or on the fob, and down it comes back into position. On the passenger side of the car again, everything is in very fine order. The door card, dare I say, factory fresh. The scuff plate, pretty well perfect. The seat, I dare say, has very seldom been sat in. And likewise the rest of the cockpit, the carpet and mat, and glove compartment and so forth, all in very fine condition indeed. And again, showing that this is a low mileage car which has been diligently cared for. Under the bonnet, and there is the supercharged V6 engine underneath the supercharger, underneath the plastic cover of course, but it is down there, producing 380 horsepower, a 0-60 figure of 4.8 seconds and a top speed of 171 miles per hour. Yes, this is a car with very impressive performance figures. Yes, it sounds great. Yes, it is a wonderful car to throw down a country lane or even, I dare say, around a racetrack if the mood takes you. But it's also a car which delivers fabulous ownership, pleasure and ease. You know, people live with F-Types as daily drivers very easily. Servicing costs, in comparison to the two vehicles behind me as I'm holding the camera here, an Aston Martin and a Porsche, servicing costs are very reasonable indeed. And likewise, some of our customers recently have remarked how very pleased they have been with the insurance costs on F-Types. Thank you very much indeed for watching. It's been a real pleasure to show you this beautiful F-Type. We are Sports and Touring. We're just outside Andover in Hampshire, open 7 days a week by appointment only. You're very welcome to telephone, email or WhatsApp us with any inquiries, or if you'd like to arrange to see the car either in person or by video call. We can send you a link to the Google Drive. That's an online folder where we have high-resolution copies of the photos, which you can zoom in on, and PDF copies of important documents such as the service history and the motor check report on the car. If you've got a vehicle to dispose of, we'll give you frank and honest advice about the best way to achieve the maximum value with the minimum inconvenience. And if you'd like to chat about finance, we can do that as well. We're authorised and regulated by the FCA. Do please take a few moments to read our reviews in Auto Trader. I'm so proud of how our previous customers speak about us. And I'll close by saying thanks once more, and I do look forward to hearing from you very soon.